Okay, welcome back to our teaching on David's continual and the abomination that causes desolation. I want to point out another thing in Daniel chapter 8. Turn back there with me, please, verse 11 and 12. Reading from the NASB, it says, "It even magnified itself to be equal with the commander of the host, and it removed the regular sacrifice from him, and the place of his sanctuary was thrown down. And on account of transgression, the host will be given over to the horn, along with the regular sacrifice, and it will fling truth to the ground and perform its will and prosper." Now, this is very interesting because the words regular sacrifice is, again, tamid. It is Strong's number 8548. It means David's continual. David's continual. So it removed David's continual from him, from the commander of the host, and the place of his sanctuary was thrown down. Very interesting here, because it says the place of his sanctuary was thrown down. It's interesting, even if you go to Concordant Literal Version, it says the site of his sanctuary. Let's look at another. It says the holy place shall be desolate or thrown down. Rotherham says the place of his sanctuary was thrown down. So what am I trying to say in this? It's this. It says the place of his sanctuary, not the sanctuary. Don't you know that if the sanctuary were there and it was cast down, it would say the sanctuary was cast down. But it doesn't. It says the place of his sanctuary. So in other words, where the sanctuary used to be built, something to do with it is cast down. Now, what is it that the Arabs have done over and over again at the Wailing Wall? They've pushed the wall over. They've tried to push the wall over to collapse the wall and kill people down below. They're going to do that. They're going to take it over and they're going to demolish part of it so the Jews will have nothing there. Then they're going to set up the abomination that causes desolation. Why is the Lord going to let this happen? Why is the Lord going to force David's continual to stop? Here's why. Verse 12, "And on account of transgression, the host," or the prime minister, will be given over to the horn, along with the continual, and it will fling truth to the ground and perform its will and prosper. The word transgression is literally rebellion. Rebellion. Now, this is speaking literally of the Temple Mount, a place, a literal place. It's not talking about the rebellion within the church. It's talking about, although in Laodicea, that could foreshadow it. It's talking about the literal place where the Temple Mount used to be. You see, the church doesn't have a site or a side of his sanctuary. This is talking about literally the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. What rebellion is the host, prime minister, representing the people? What rebellion are the people in? Well, look at it. Look at Jerusalem. Look at Israel today. The vast majority, 84 or 92, I don't remember exactly now, % of all Jews claim to be secular. They claim to not even believe in God. They're not believing Jews. But also, they are so liberal, they have become the homosexual capital of the Middle East. They're not 15 miles away from Sodom and Gomorrah, which was destroyed for the same sin. And here they are. They're giving into it, and they're mocking God. Are they in rebellion to God? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. This is why the Lord is giving the Temple Mount, taking it away from them. And they're not going to be able to fulfill David's continual anymore. It's because of rebellion. With that, Isaiah 13, 9 through 11, and 1 Thessalonians 5, 2 through 10. I want to read, hold on just a moment here, let me travel here for a moment to the book of Psalms. And chapter 141. Hold it. Psalms 141. And verses 1 and 2. It says, a psalm of David. O Lord, I call upon you. Hasten to me. Give ear to my voice when I call you. May my prayer be counted as incense before you, the lifting up of my hands as the evening offering. This is David's heart. This is David's heart. And so when David cries out through a righteous prayer, let my prayer be counted as incense before you, the lifting of my hands as the evening offering. And yet the vast majority of the nation is involved in gross sin. The Lord is going to take the holy place away. With that, Daniel chapter 11, verse 31 for your notes. Okay, I just want to conclude this chapter with this. People will say, well, the continual is also a reference to the offerings of Leviticus. Leviticus chapter 1 talks of the burnt offerings. Chapter 2, the meal offerings. Chapter 3, the peace offerings. And they were continual until the temple was taken away. And then they ceased. They were done. They can't happen anymore. There is no holy place. You know, the Garden of Eden was wonderful, magnificent, and probably the greatest ancient wonder of the whole world until it was taken away. And it was destroyed at the flood. Why was it destroyed? Because of sin. Because of sin. And the Lord took it away. Isn't that amazing? And so the temple was taken away because of two things. One, because of sin. Number two, because it was no longer relevant anymore. It was the Old Testament, which involved a temple made with hands. It represented the coming New Testament. And when the New Testament finally arrived, the Old was done away with. And again, another reason why I say there will not be a third physical temple. The third temple's already here. It's been here for 2,000 years. It's called the saints. You are, Paul says over and over again, you are the temple of the living God. It's you. You're the temple. So where should David's continual be? It should be every day and night, right here in our hearts. But the Jews are still looking for a physical temple. They look at 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 1 through 4 as proof that there's going to be a third physical temple, because the Antichrist will show himself in it and that as a god or an object of worship. But don't you know, the temple of God is every single human heart, whether born again or not. Haven't you ever heard the term, have you surrendered your heart, the throne of your heart to Jesus? Weren't you taught that in Sunday school? I was taught that in Baptist Sunday school. We had a hint of the truth. We just didn't apply it all the way. You see, the temple of God is the heart of man, whether saved or not. And so if unsaved, who you got out there on the throne of your heart? Oh, a sports star, a man or a woman, or a car, or money, or position, or self-esteem, or self, or the Antichrist. Why the Antichrist? Well, he saved us, didn't he? He saved us. He stopped the nuclear war. He stopped the destruction of the world. So, yeah, he's my new sports star. I'm going to put him on the throne of my heart. And that's what 2 Thessalonians means. It's just that simple. Don't make more of it than that. The Scripture, we have to let the Scripture interpret itself. What is the temple of the living God? It's us. It's our hearts. But Jesus died for the whole world, didn't he? Yes. The whole world belongs to him, whether surrendered to him yet or not. It still belongs to him. That's still the temple of God. Don't you know, when Antiochus Epiphanes took over the physical temple and desecrated it and set up a statue of himself in it and demanded that he be sacrificed to and worship, that the Antichrist, he was a type of Antichrist, was standing in the temple of God. But today, we are the temple of God since the sacrifice and resurrection of Christ. He died for the whole world, and every single human is the temple of God. Don't look for a physical temple made with hands. It's already here. Jesus owns every single temple. Every single person. And he will claim every single person. And he will have every single person. Okay, I want to read just a couple more verses here in Daniel chapter 8. Verse 13, then I heard a holy one speaking with another holy one, and said to that particular one who was speaking, how long will the vision about the regular or continual sacrifice apply, while the transgression causes horror, so as to allow both the holy place and the host to be trampled? And he said to me, for 2,300 evenings and mornings, then the holy place will be vindicated. Properly restored is literally vindicated. Notice again, holy place is not the sanctuary, but it is just the place where it used to stand. We call it the Temple Mount. Now, here's an interesting thing. This is, of course, more of the same double prophecy. Here's an interesting thing. This does apply to Antiochus Epiphanes, okay, because this literally happened. And here is a mystery for you, where it says, for 2,300 evenings and mornings in verse 14. It's a little over 6 years. Nobody knows what that is really supposed to be. This is one of the strongest areas of textual criticism that I've ever read of. In some manuscripts it says 2,200 evenings and mornings. In others it says 23. And still others it says 24. When they found the Dead Sea Scrolls and they thought, it's Daniel, we're going to actually get to see what the original was, or close to the original. Guess what? Somebody took a very fine point penknife and they cut this number out. So nobody knows what it is. 22, 23, 24. Who knows? No one knows. It's a mystery. So we do know this, that during the days of Antiochus, when the Greeks overthrew the temple and the land, they occupied it for close to 2,300 days. And that's why they have 2,300 here in the scripture. But we don't know if that's what it really means or not. We really don't know. It's a mystery. And how that applies to the last days, no one knows. That's a mystery. It's probably one of those mysteries we won't understand till it happens. And then we'll understand it. But the Lord made sure that it would remain a mystery because somebody with a very fine knife carefully, perfectly cut it out of the oldest manuscript that we have. Isn't that amazing? Okay, is that, okay, Lord bless you till we come together again.